Welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right into a true classic today. We're going to break down the anatomy of a failed excuse, specifically Tom Sawyer's Monday Morning. It is the absolute perfect case study of a childhood master plan gone hilariously and painfully wrong. So, be honest with me for a second. Have you ever faked an illness just to escape a Monday morning? I mean, we have all experienced that heavy, sinking dread when Sunday night rolls around and the reality of the coming work week suddenly sets in. It's a completely universal feeling. And honestly, that is exactly what makes this 19th century text so deeply relatable today. We're analyzing this story through a totally modern lens that the human desire to just stay in bed and avoid all your responsibilities, yeah, that hasn't changed a bit in over 100 years. Tom Sawyer is experiencing the ultimate, crippling case of the Monday blues, and his sheer desperation is the catalyst for everything that happens next. To Tom, Monday isn't just an annoyance. It is the start of, quote, another week's slow suffering in school. You have to remember, he'd just come off a weekend of complete, unshampered freedom. So the contrast makes returning to the classroom feel basically like walking straight into a prison. It's this incredibly intense, dramatic perspective of school as pure, unadulterated misery that really sets the stage here. He doesn't just want a personal day. He feels he desperately needs to invent a medical excuse to save himself from this agonizing fate. His motivation is literally at an all-time high, and well, that's when the scheming truly begins.
Now, what is really fascinating here is that Tom doesn't just grab the first excuse that comes to mind. Oh no, he runs through a rigorous, almost clinical, internal diagnostic checklist. It is a highly calculated procedure. Step 1. He investigates his own body for general sickness. He finds absolutely nothing. Step 2. He detects a faint stomach ache, but it's way too weak and quickly fades away. Step 3. Bingo. He hits gold with a loose upper front tooth. But his reasoning here is actually kind of brilliant. He realizes this is way too risky. If he brings this argument to court, as he calls it, his Aunt Polly will simply pull the tooth out, and that would physically hurt. So he hilariously decides to keep the tooth in reserve and keep searching. Finally, step 4. He remembers hearing a doctor once talk about an ailment that cost a patient a whole finger. Tom doesn't even know what the actual symptoms are, but he drags his sore toe out from under the sheets, looks at it, and decides to roll the dice.
The way this escalates is just incredible. Right at minute 0, Tom starts groaning with considerable spirit. And this takes genuine physical exertion. He literally has to stop, take a rest, swell himself up, and fetch a succession of admirable groans to really get the momentum going. Well, the effort pays off because his sleeping brother Sid finally wakes up, and now Tom completely doubles down. He moans, he begs Sid not to shake him, he claims he's been suffering for hours. The panic is entirely contagious. By minute 6, Sid is utterly terrified and runs downstairs screaming for help. Think about that. In under 10 minutes, Tom has transformed a quiet, peaceful bedroom into a chaotic emergency room, and Aunt Polly is rushing frantically up the stairs to save him. To truly sell this sore toe, Tom leans into the performance of a lifetime, pretending to be actively on his deathbed. He looks at a terrified Sid and says, "I forgive you for everything." He even starts distributing his worldly possessions. He instructs his brother to give his window sash and his one-eyed cat to the new girl in town. I mean, the drama. His imagination is working so well that his fake groans actually start to gather a genuine pain tone. He's fully, absolutely committed to the bit, entirely unaware that he has severely overplayed his hand.
So Aunt Polly arrives. Her face is white, her lip is trembling, and she is fully prepared for a sheer tragedy. But then, the moment Tom utters the completely ridiculous phrase, "Oh, Auntie, my sore toe's dying," the spell is completely broken. You simply can't have a dying toe. Aunt Polly's initial genuine fear dissolves in a split second. She sinks right into a chair, laughs a little bit, cries a little bit, and then hits him with a brutal reality check. Rubbish, I don't believe it. She instantly sees through the absolute nonsense of his claim, completely deflating the dramatic bubble Tom had worked so hard to inflate.
Caught absolutely red-handed, Tom feels incredibly foolish, and wouldn't you know it, the toe pain miraculously vanishes. And here is where it all goes spectacularly wrong. In his flustered, panicked state trying to explain himself, he makes a fatal tactical error. He argues that his toe hurts so much, he didn't even mind his tooth at all. Yep, he accidentally mentions the loose tooth. The exact same excuse he explicitly told himself earlier was way too risky to use. Aunt Polly immediately pivots. She declares he isn't going to die from a loose tooth, sure, but it certainly needs to come out. She orders Mary to get a silk thread and a chunk of fire from the kitchen. Yes, you heard that right. A literal burning hot coal from the kitchen fire. Tom's master plan hasn't just failed, it has actively placed him in a significantly worse situation.
The irony here is just absolutely off the charts. Listen to this. "Oh, please, Auntie, don't pull it out. I don't want to stay home from school." The boy who woke up viewing Monday as slow suffering, the kid who considered the classroom a literal prison that he desperately needed to escape, is now practically begging to go to school. Faced with the terrifying prospect of 19th century DIY dentistry involving a hot coal and a piece of string, a day of arithmetic and grammar suddenly seems like an absolute paradise. It is a brilliant character reversal that highlights just how terribly his little scheme has deteriorated.
But despite his sudden, burning enthusiasm for his education, Aunt Polly is completely unswayed. Knowing full well this entire row was just an elaborate ploy to skip school and go fishing, she takes total control of the situation. She ties one end of the silk thread to Tom's tooth, the other to the bedpost, and suddenly thrusts that glowing chunk of fire right near his face. Tom recoils in absolute panic, and bam! The tooth is instantly yanked out. The ultimate consequence of his elaborate fiction was a very real, very physical extraction. His Monday morning ended up being far more painful than if he had just quietly walked his way to school in the first place. To wrap things up today, I want to leave you with a final thought. Is skipping school or work or really any responsibility ever actually worth a pulled tooth? Tom Sawyer learned the hard way that sometimes the cure is far, far worse than the disease. Over-engineering an excuse can literally lead straight to your own downfall. It's such a fantastic piece of storytelling that really humorously reminds us of the perils of our own procrastination. So I just have to ask you, what was your go-to sore toe excuse when you were a kid, and did it ever backfire spectacularly? Thank you so much for joining me to explore this awesome piece of classic literature. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I will catch you in the next explainer.